Are you 4 for 4 in your fight against MS? Many of you that follow the channel have heard my expression, I want you to be 4 for 4 in your fight against MS. In this video, I'm going to take that a step further. Consider this the expanded version of 4 for 4. Don't turn away, because that starts right now. Howdy! Thanks for learning about MS with me, Aaron Boster. I started this YouTube channel to help my own MS clinic patients learn between visits. And it's my hope that through these videos, I can help you learn too. Today's topic, being 4 for 4 in your fight against MS. I'm going to take these concepts a step further with you today, so let's dive in. Number 1, take a disease-modifying therapy and make sure it's working. Now, what does that mean? Taking a disease-modifying therapy is one of the most important things we can do in 2019 to slow this disease down. How do you know if it's working? Well, let's spend a few minutes and talk about that. I'm okay with your drug if, number 1, you're not having clinical attacks, and you're not failing the litmus test of life, meaning you're having to pull away from activities because of disability. An example of failing the litmus test of life would be I can't go to watch soccer games anymore because I can't walk across the wet field, so I just stay at home. I'm not okay with that, and you shouldn't be either. I also would be unhappy with your drug if you were having new MRI spots. To me, a new spot on the MRI literally means the same thing as a clinical attack. Lastly, we need to make sure that you're tolerating your drug and that you're comfortable with the safety profile. Oh, and I forgot one. I don't want to see any new deficits on your neuro exam. So if you aren't having attacks, you're not failing the litmus test of life, you're not having new MRI activity, you're not having change on exam, and you tolerate your drug safety, we're going to keep on keeping on. However, if any of those things are not okay, I think we need to critically look at what we're doing and which drugs we're using, and we might need to upgrade. Now, I have several videos on this channel talking about disease modification. I'll throw some links up above, and I'll include them down in the description below. In this video, I'll expand on the 4 for 4 concept. And so when we talk about disease modification, I want to kick it up a notch. I want to challenge you to be on the most effective disease-modifying therapy as early as possible. I want to bring a SWAT team to a knife fight. And so when I talk about being 4 for 4 and being on a medicine and make sure it's working, let's kick that up a notch and make sure it's an awesome medicine. Number 2, make exercise a part of your lifestyle. I can't stress this enough. If I could stand on the table and hop up and down so I could make the point, I would do that. Suffice it to say that exercise, consistent exercise, quite literally is as important to me as a disease-modifying therapy. Innumerate times over the last decade and a half, patients, when they finally adopt exercise as part of their lifestyle, they come in and they're so excited to share. Their fatigue is better, they can do more things, their motor fatigue is better, they think more clearly, they sleep better, sex is better. My point here is that I need you to embrace exercise as part of your lifestyle. Now look, I'm not suggesting that you become a professional kickboxer or climb a mountain. I am suggesting that we have to work diligently to figure out what works for you. Could you walk during your lunch hour? Could you go to the YMCA and use their swimming pool? Can you participate in chair yoga? We have to find something, and we have to keep moving. Now, again, I have videos on this topic, and so I'll throw some links up above if you want to check those out, and I'll make sure to include those links in the description below. In the spirit of expanding the 4 for 4, as we talk about exercise, I challenge you. I literally challenge you right now to embrace some form of exercise for 1 month. That's it. I'm not asking you to exercise daily for a month, maybe just once or twice a week. I double dare you to try it out because I know what's going to happen. Your fatigue will decrease. Your motor fatigue will decrease. Your cognitive fog will decrease, and I want you to experience that. So I hope you pick up on my challenge. Number 3 is supplementing low levels of vitamin D. It turns out that people with MS that have a level of vitamin D below 50 tend to have a worse disease course. Interestingly, if we supplement vitamin D3 and get it above 50, it tends to slow the disease down. Now, that's awesome considering that this is literally a vitamin. I'm not suggesting you run to the pharmacy and just take a bunch of vitamin D. That's not a good idea. I am suggesting that you talk to your provider. Have your vitamin D level checked. If it's below 50, we want to kick it up a notch, and we want to use D3 because it's better absorbed. Now, this video is about expanding concepts, and I'm going to kick it up a notch here. And I want to expand the idea of supplementing vitamin D3 to include a larger discussion about diet. Now, this is an emerging field, diet and MS, and there's a lot that we don't yet know. There is no diet that has been proven to slow multiple sclerosis. But that doesn't mean that we can't improve our quality of life and how we're doing by dieting. And so I want to spend a few minutes talking about that. Being obese is challenging when your leg is weak. It's simple physics. And if you shed 15 pounds, that's 15 less pounds on a weak leg. That makes a really, really big difference. I have seen time and time again that patients who will shy away from or avoid processed sugars and processed foods, they tell me something neat. They say, Aaron, I don't know why, but I feel better. I am not suggesting that this is a cure-all for MS. I am suggesting that we do want to pay attention to our diet. And if you're living off diet soda pop and hamburgers from a fast food joint, we need to talk. Now, I've done a video on what I think is the best diet for MS, and if you haven't seen that yet, I'll throw a link up above so you can check it out, and I'll include it down in the description below. And number 4, don't smoke tobacco. Smoking tobacco actually increases an individual's risk to develop MS. Once you have MS, if you smoke cigarettes, you speed up your disease, according to some studies by almost 50%. That's amazing. Basically, the very worst thing you could do while having MS is to smoke cigarettes. It's very hard to quit smoking cigarettes, and I don't want to downplay that at all. It's arguably one of the most addictive substances that humans expose themselves to, and yet, this is really important, guys. Now, I have several videos on how to quit smoking, or tips and tricks to help you quit smoking, and I'll throw some links up so you can check that out. But I want to convey the critical importance of quitting smoking. And in this video, we're going to kick it up a notch. I want to expand that concept to talk not just about smoking, but other cardiovascular risk factors. We have learned in the last few years that people with MS that have cardiovascular risk factors get worse faster. They literally have increased disability at a faster pace compared to people with MS that don't. So looking at obesity, diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, and tobacco are really important if you want to beat the heck out of this disease. In conclusion, I want you to be 4 for 4 in your fight against MS. It's not that hard. Number 1, take a disease-modifying therapy and make sure it works. And if you want to expand what we're talking about, make sure it's a highly effective disease-modifying therapy. Number 2, I want you to embrace exercise as part of your lifestyle. And I challenge you to spend 1 month attempting to exercise. I would love for you to write in the comments what that's like for you. Number 3 is to supplement low levels of vitamin D. And if we want to really go for gold, I think we need to look critically at what you're eating and how you're feeding your engine. And lastly, we need to not smoke. And if we kick that up a notch, we need to look at other cardiovascular risk factors. Now, it is my goal to make you the most awesome version of you possible despite having MS. And it's my strong opinion that we can accomplish that by being 4 for 4 in our fight. And so the question of the day, are you 4 for 4? If you're not yet 4 for 4 in your fight against MS, tell me what you're missing down in the comments below. And share with me an idea about how we might change that. My name's Aaron Boster, and thank you for learning about MS with me. If you like this video and you think you'd like to see more content from me, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. You just hit that little red button. And until my next video, take care.